Welcome back to Happy Chappy. So, going to speak about death. So, if you haven't dealt with a lot of things in your life or you find it fearful, you might not be able to go through your day and feel comfortable after this. You might want to look at some of the things that's going on in your life and settle one's soul with them before you listen to this. Yet you might find a strength in you. It will be your choice. And why I say that is because in the majority, while we live life, we fear the end of it, which is how it's seen by majority. And so I'm going to explain a moment in my life, an ending, which came to death. Death of the mind, death of the body. And all that there was left was that conscious awareness of who I was. Now, in life, we are consciously aware of the body and the separation it holds to everything around us. But we're not aware of who we are. And so we see life as a beginning, a birth, and has an ending at death. And so our conscious awareness tells us that there's a starting and a finishing point to who we are. While projecting that we are the body that we'd see in a mirror or that we would visualize ourselves to be in our perception. And so we come to see ourselves in separation of other things that we could see. In a physical reality. Yet we don't consciously be aware of how we are operating in a spiritual reality that brings about that physical, sensory world that we have of reality that we would call physical. And so what we are getting is the consciousness, the awareness of how thought comes about and how our sensory of the vibration that flows through the body that brings us a connective nervous system that operates through our senses and gives us thought so we could feel about something, and which in return gives us sight. It gives us pictures or reality. And if you, as there's possibly people that would argue with this, if you feel this, maybe you need to do some research into facts and not your ego. That it's easy to say, oh, well, I see with my eyes. Because I know there's knobheads out there that will say this, which shows how little you know. And how ignorant you are to oneself. How you disregard who you truly are. And you probably walk around and look to be noticed by everybody else so you can feel good in your pain that you carry. For them split few seconds by thinking that you're the big person while you're so small. So small in your consciousness and your conscious awareness of who you are or what you are. And the smaller that you become when you do die, you will just disappear to dust because you let that light go within you. And so every part of that vibration that flows through you is separated through your death because you couldn't hold it in the light. And so it can't rise up into the heaven of consciousness of all because you didn't let it. Because you fought against it with your ego in this dark world where we feel pain, struggle, hardship, worry. And then if you could consciously be aware it's the body that's sensing that, and come to see that it's like a child having a toy. You have this body to play with in the playground. And you have the choice to change that vibration, to operate the toy by thought and feeling, programmed by you, or you could let it go and be programmed by the ego of what's around you. And so if you're consciously aware of who you are and how you are a toy, so to speak, for consciousness to play with, to operate in a physical world, a physical experience, then you can understand who you truly are. And in that, what you will find is the light within you will grow. And so you will start to see what you couldn't see. You'll start to see how you were living in an ego. How everything that you could see now was always there. And you just couldn't see it because you had a way of thinking and feeling. And so you obstructed yourself from seeing what you needed to see to light up that light within you. Until you were able to get over that ego that you carry. It's not just you, it's not just me, it's everyone. To live in this experience, we must understand the ego is our obstruction that our consciousness must get over. And we fight in this physical reality to understand the rights and wrongs of what's good and right, or what's good and wrong, or good and bad. Oh, it's not coming out right. And in that sense, what we can see is dark and light. When we are in the dark, as it's all one vibration, but when we're in the dark side of the vibration, in the lower spectrum, you will find that there's things that we do that would hurt each other, whether it be physically or mentally. So we can see ourselves in a better form in our perception of separation. And so we get that belief through consciousness that we're not doing anything wrong. It's just something that we do. And that's why we have this experience, this physical experience, to learn. So we can rise in consciousness and get to the heights of death. And in my experience of death is when I let go of the toy. I let go of what you see in front of you. I let go of what I call me, but it's not me. It's the toy that you perceive to be me in mind and body. And it's just an instrument that I play with in this playground we call Earth, the big playground. And so in that, I let go of that toy. I dropped the toy and just became the consciousness. Now, there's many ways you can do this and become aware of who you are, what you are. But you have to let go of the ego, of the body, which means everything that you've been taught in who you are as this physical field that captures space within space that you are, you must let go and stop looking at things in separation from who you are. So you can guide your conscious awareness back to where you came from. Letting go of the ego. And so in return, you're bringing heaven to earth. And in this is, first you must rise from the body and separate in your consciousness, because you already are separated. You're just holding something that you're separate from in that physical form that you see. And if possibly argue about your thoughts, if I chopped your head open and looked inside, do you think that I'm going to find a book or something with your thoughts in there? No. How much do you understand that? How much do you understand about that? Because until you do, then you won't understand you. Now, for me to go into the depths of all that would take a long session. Knowledge is a beautiful thing when you look at it from all different areas. Not just one area, but multiple areas. Now, you can look at science and say this, that, whatever. And science puts off things to be, well, I don't know. Right. But what do they know? And so when you look at what they do know in different ends of the spectrum, from one end to the other, and look through that spectrum of all the different approaches to understand who we are and what we are and how the world works and the function of everything in connection, what you will find is you. What you will understand is you. Life, death, vibration, energy, darkness, light, how everything is the one, how everything is held together by one. And so, as I left what you see as me, I became consciousness. And so I spent time in the light, which was where consciousness was. Now, in the light is all of creation. Everything that you live in this life that you see yourself to be in a physical creation could not be without light. Now, in science, you can see this, you can understand this when you start to learn some. Maybe you have. Maybe you do understand. Then you will understand then light creates you. Now, as I sat in this light, so let's just say this is the light and it held the universe. In this, I was everywhere. Everywhere that you could point in that universe, I was there. In consciousness. Yet, I physically wasn't anywhere. I disappeared in body. I disappeared in mind. I'm not saying my body disappeared. If you came along, you would probably have seen me there. But I didn't. I was in the light. I was back in consciousness. You probably would have seen the body as if it was dead. And so, your conscious awareness, knowing that I was somewhere before I started this, you possibly could have walked in and seen me there. I'm not saying you would have. You might not see me at all. As it's in the rainforest, there's a tribe. I'm not too sure what their name is. I think it's 26, 27 different colors or shades of green is what they see in color. Now, if you placed that's a blue tree. Just say there's a blue tree. We could place in the middle of a forest. You and I would see that. And as we got closer and closer to it, we would see we could not walk through that. Because our conscious awareness would see it as something. And so our sensory system, in the toy that we play with on this physical field, has created this through our consciousness. So we are aware of it. And so it becomes a physical object. Now, in the tribe, they don't see blue. They only see green. And because it's blue, they're not going to see that blue tree. And so what you might find is when you're held back by the tree, the tribe would be walking through the tree. Because it's only seen in your consciousness. It's not seen in theirs. And so it doesn't become anything. It's only in your conscious awareness because it's your belief. And so you create the tree. You create the blockage in the forest. But they can't see what you see. So it doesn't be. And so they walk on through that tree that you see, but they don't see because it isn't in their reality. And so as you would have walked into a room, you may have seen me if you hadn't known I was there in the first place, because your perception would have told you that. But if I had just been anywhere random and alone and nobody knew I was there, then I probably would have disappeared. I wouldn't have been seen by your conscious awareness because you wouldn't have known that I went there. And so I would have become invisible. I'm not saying that's how, I'm saying that's the possibility. Obviously, you could have connected to other people who would have known that I was there, and through that vibration, whether they told you or not, but through their vibration, they would have connected with you, so you possibly would have seen me. Through that vibration that flowed through you, through the connection of who you interacted with, or where you interacted with, where my field may have been. And so you consciously could have become aware to see me, even though I couldn't see me as I would see myself in a physical reality. But I got to see me and who I be in my true reality of light. And so in that light, holding everything that you can see within light, I got to see. I got to see it all of what you can't see, by seeing in a physical reality. Yet I got to see everything in the physical reality that you see and that you don't see. And this isn't anything special about me. This is you. I'm you, you're me. And as hard as that is to see as a separation in how you see to be in a physical reality, remember, you're a toy of consciousness. And so with several different toys, consciousness is tapped into them all. As you would see separation in who we all are. So we have multiple experiences as consciousness. So we get to see a physical reality. And through that, it's seen different in each and every one of us and who we are. Yet we are all the same in consciousness. And so if you could switch off all your thoughts and feelings, switch off who you are, what you know to remember in this living physical reality, then you would get to see where you are in your truth of consciousness, of light. And so in that, what you get to see is that you're not this body that you see every time you wake up in the morning. You're consciousness. And you're everywhere. But you hold yourself to be just here in a physical reality. If this was you in your reflection. As it is in another conscious being, but in the reflection of what you see and who you be as you watch me in a separation of who you are as the same. And so what you get to see is the most beautifulest. And now I can't tell you enough in a physical form or with words. There's not enough explanation in this physical reality to explain how it was. And let's just say good, excellent vibration was tremendous. The best experience you've ever had in this life is down here. Well, this was way up here. You couldn't see it. That experience is unseeable in the physical reality. And to feel it, your body couldn't sense it. Which is understandable because you jump out of your body. You're not your body anymore. Because it's two different vibrations. And yet when I came back to my body, I could still hold that experience. I could still hold that memory. I could still hold the presence of that light and get to see the world in a different way. And as I said, this is you. And I know it sounds crazy in the physical side of life to say that I'm you and you're me because we see ourselves to be what we see. But we're not what we see. All you have to do is look at the history of how we are created as a baby born and how we create sight and how sight actually works. Just to learn how your eyesight works and how your mind creates pictures for you to see. And because you could say, oh, well, this person can see it, so I can see it. So how are they thinking the same? Because of consciousness. You're all running on the same consciousness and the same vibration, so you're getting to see what they see. And through a way of being brought up, if you're surrounded by a particular life of consciousness, then you're going to be a lot like that life of consciousness. So you're going to see things a lot like they see. Yet, you all could stand in the same area, will never be in the same place because you hold your own space within space. So each person holding space within space, but in the same place, staring at a tree. You will all see the same tree, but you will all see it differently. And so you have the same consciousness, but a different perception by the space that you hold, because nothing is the same in movement of space within space. Nothing can ever be the same. You can never hold two people in the same space, off space, because that would mean then you would be the same body. But you're not. You're a separate consciousness, and yet you are the same. And so understanding that on a spiritual level, to be a physical, there's a separation that you must do for you. As you see yourself separated from everything, but you're connected through being a physical. So what you see is physical things, objects around you, and you see yourself as physical. So you're connected in that way, but seeing a separation. And so what we would normally call a contradiction, but it's there. It's there to be seen. Everything has two sides. And yet you're separated from everything, but you're connected because you're physical. And so everything else is physical. So you're connected in that way. And so if you could see that in a spiritual sense, spiritually we are all connected through our consciousness, but yet we're a physical being. And our consciousness is invisible. It's a vibration that flows through us, and when we're vibrating in the right connections or the right vibrations, we create a physical life where a vibration of a man and a woman come together and they're vibrating in the right vibration that matches each other. They create life with that vibration, and then that consciousness of the two, of the family that they become, arrives in a newborn. And that newborn is the conscious awareness of the history of that father and the history of that mother through ancestors. And so that's carried into the genes, into the vibration of that being. And so they're going to have memory of that ancestral line of both sides, which helps build the creation of who they are. And so before they even think or feel about anything in this life, they're already vibrating on that level of your father's line and your mother's line, of all the history that is went behind them, that is creating you. And so when you arrive on this planet, you're vibrating of your whole family's history that creates you through consciousness, which is vibration. And once it's came together in that companionship of man and woman, and it brings out that spark, you become that. And then as we come into the physical life, that spark starts turning into an ego. And the flame, the flicker that we bring to the life, that light of a child being born, the most beautifulest thing that we do see in this physical form. A life, love, pureness. And it starts drifting into an ego as it grows up because of the conscious awareness that it picks up from. And so it starts vibrating on the same patterns, linking into these people that's surrounded by them, becoming them to a certain degree in their own consciousness of what they've become between their mother and their father. And so as they vibrate from the history that has created them, they're linking into a new path to grow a path of their own consciousness through the history, but through what they see through the consciousness of where they be. And so they grow into something more. And so you get to see a newborn growing into sight, to start to see through their way of their family's history of thinking and through how they vibrate on the way of everybody else's thinking, in how they sense things to be in their surroundings of their consciousness. And so they start to see what everybody else is seeing because that's what they see, and they can feel that vibration through who they be in what they've become through consciousness of what they've been in the history of each family and how they've been seen and how they are seen through how everybody else sees them. And so they start to feel that vibration and start to be that in life that we call. And so that consciousness starts to see the same way everybody else is seeing. It doesn't just see, which is simple for us to say because that's what we see on the surface level without looking at any depth in who we be. And so we don't really truly see until we look into the depths of who we be. And so that means we're going backwards to go forwards, to learn to live in the light of who we be in a physical reality, bringing heaven to earth, which is within us all. But sometimes we get too much caught up in that ego that light dies down within us. And for it to rise, we must cancel out all of who we've been in this physical reality so we can get to see who we truly be. Because when it comes to that end in time and period where we reach death, and this is something that I had to go through before I got to this house, I had to feel the experience of death. I had to focus on dying. I had to focus the pain of that. And I thought of it in many different forms. From the easiest, the quickest way to die, to the longest, most painfulest way to die. And in that spectrum, in that line, I had to think of all the different ways that I would feel that pain and how I could feel that. And the more thoughts it brought up and the more things it brought up about the pain in life that we lived through, and getting to see that darkness within the life that I've lived and turning it into something better. Everything that I would see, I would look at it in the deepest and darkest way it could be, and then look for that little spark in it all. And when I found that little spark, I could move on to the next thing that I could see that was dark within me, which was the darkest things that I could look for. And if I didn't look for the darkest things, then I wasn't going to find that little spark that was in me that could light up the whole of consciousness that I be. So what I'm saying in a way is, to make it simple, is to reflect on the darker sides of your life and look to flip that around. You may see something in your life that could be just small things. Start with the small things. That you did something wrong. Maybe as a child you took a toy of another child because you wanted it. A simple little thing like that. But yet, did you understand how you made that other child feel? Did you understand what you done? You understood that you wanted it so you could feel good. That's okay. But is it right? Is it right to make another person feel however they felt and however you think about it, just so you could feel the way that you felt? Did you need that toy? Could you have waited? What would you do the next time? How would you do it? How would you do it in a better way, a brighter way, where you could be feeling good about you without hurting that other person, so they could feel good too? And to look through all the experiences that you've went through where you've done something wrong. I like this. That you could change if you came to the same experience again in what you could do. And before you know it, there's going to be a lot of them thoughts popping up. A lot of things that you forgot about. Because you became familiar with your pain. And the more you release this, the more you'll release the pain that you hold in this space of consciousness and set it free by forgiving yourself. And in that little spark will light up in you. And you'll be set free to reach that height of consciousness that's way up here that you can't see, in the truth of who you be. Now, it's easy enough for me to say this, but for you to take action is down to you. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Do you think it's easy to look at what you're afraid of, death, and all the different ways that you could die in the most painfulest way? No, it's not easy. Mentally, it could fuck you up, which is why you start small and you grow on that. Now, what you get in return is a never-ending happiness. And that's to say the least. Happiness on the spectrum is way down here. But it's never-ending. Just, it's out of sight. Everything that you can think of that is great in this life, well, that don't come close. And once you know it, once you've seen it, you can't go back to the way of seeing everything as a separation in a physical reality. There's no way back. Once you see it, you've it seen. You can't unsee it. And so you'll always have that captured within you, that light, to carry around in this physical life, to enjoy it from a total different experience than what most people see in the separation of what they see and who we be. And in this, you're set free. You're not held by the world. You'll be in your truth. But I warn you, if you do this, you're going to see everything in everyone. You're going to see everything that people hide behind what you would normally see in the physical reality. And so what you might find is you won't want to be around everybody. You won't want to be around many people, if any, because you will already see the consciousness that's within them. You will see the spark within them and how it's flickering. Is it flickering? Or is it just pure darkness? You'll get to see. You'll get to see it from a distance. You don't need to talk to people to get to see. You will just know. Because that's what consciousness does. It just bees. Bees everywhere. And when you're everywhere, you can feel everything. You can sense everything. Which is why, in the physical reality, you must look at everything in the darkness and flip it around. Because unless you can, then you will never reach the unreachable. I say the unreachable because it is unreachable when you are stuck in an ego of separation of what we see ourselves to be as body by what's around us, in the vibration of what we see, in the space that we hold and who we think we are. And so, if you go to take this path, understand that there is no turning back. When you start to see that flicker in who people be, or if there's one at all, You can't stop from seeing that. Which means then, in all the people that you see in your life, they might just stop being a part of your life. In how you see it to be. In who you be right now. You might understand, or you will get to that conscious level and understand they're still you. But sometimes that light just dies out and they become darkness. And there is no way back. Because they've just become darkness. They've let the light die out in them. And no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they will only drag you down in you. Even though you see the light, they will throw their pain at you for you to carry it, because they know that you're the light, that you can carry it. Maybe not consciously aware of it, but the vibration that flows through them knows that you're brighter than who they are. Not saying in intelligence or anything like that. I'm saying in who you are, in the vibration that you vibe, because you vibrate in your truth. And so they will try to connect to you. Well, you not want to. You won't want to connect to them because you can see their darkness from a distance. And from a distance, they see your light. And so, as much as it could be seen as a struggle in the physical aspect, it's so much more. It's beautiful because you've got the spiritual everywhere that brings about the physical in everything. And once you pass through all them struggles, each and everything that you pass, it's like an accomplishment. It's just inviting. You want more of it. You can't stop. No matter even if you tried, there's no way to stop it. As I say, once you see, you can't unsee. It's a dream. You're living a dream. But your dream is dark in this world. And now I've given you a way of getting out of it. But you must fight for that. You must dive deep into the darkness and confront it. Embrace it. And turn it round to something brighter within you. So then when you do see it in the separation of who you see yourself to be, you can turn it round. So when you see another consciousness in that darkness, it doesn't have to be pressed onto you. That you can see a way out from who they be. And this will bring you to separation from who you hold yourself to be in your surroundings of other consciousnesses. And so you might find that the people that's in your life will start dropping away. Now, you may think from a place of being in separation in how you would see in the physical life, this could be lonely. It's not. It's not at all. It's peace. It's surrender to consciousness, to them heights that you can't see. Because you're already stuck in the darkness. And so you already feel lonely in that darkness, no matter how many people are around you. And until you find that consciousness, then, only then, you'll be set free. Because when you're in the dark, you look for people so you don't feel lonely. But yet, you feel lonely because you're in the dark. And until you rise into the light, you will just be who you be. In this physical reality, in separation, in what you see yourself to be. Now, I haven't really explained of ways to reach this consciousness in things we can do in a physical life, but the simplest method is to meditate. Close your eyes, rest in silence, and just be aware of the body, the mind, how everything is operating. Letting nothing outside of you distract you. Go into a quiet spot. And if you can't find somewhere quiet, just understand doing this alone, it won't matter how much noise is around you. It will die out. It will still be happening, but your conscious awareness will be so focused on you that you will hear it as if it's across the other side of the world. And it could be right next to you. You have to let it die out. And so you become what's important, not what's around you. And so what you will start to see, you will take control of how you're able to control your senses in how you use your focus on you and not what's around you. And from this moment, you will start to see how you are controlled so much by what's around you. And you might start to find you want to look deeper within you, to find some more of these things that you can find, that you might find that is pretty magical within your experience of learning about who you are. Anyway, this is just my view, of course, my experience, and I want to share, to show, or to let you know that you can have the exact same experience, even better. And it's not something that I consciously, well, it is something I consciously walk with, but I can't turn back. But I don't feel like it's work that I do. I don't work for it. I did work to get out of it, to get out of the darkness, to get into the light, but I don't work for today. Today it's like just waking up, and I'm awake every day. Just by being. It's not any effort. Where to begin with, it's a lot of effort. But when I think of things that we could do in life, you want to be a surfer. To begin to get up onto that board and get into the water is extremely difficult. To be a skater, it would be the same thing. To be a motor car racer, you gotta learn to drive before you could even get close to that. Everything's so hard at the beginning. To be a bodybuilder, you may not have the muscles to lift the big weights, but you see somebody big and you're encouraged by their physique that you want to be fit and healthy in who you are, and you understand if you keep a good physique that this will help benefit that. And you might feel the struggle at the beginning, but then as you move forward into it, you get great at it and you become unique in who you are. You're not looking up to that figure anymore, or the race car driver, or the skater, or the surfer. You're being unique in who you are, holding your own. And who everybody else is, they're great in who they are, but you're great in who you are. And so you become that by setting yourself free, not by placing your focus on what's around you, but what's within you, in who you truly are. And so wherever that places you in this physical life, I hope you find your journey. And to be kind to yourself by giving yourself that time to sit and reflect on who you are, mentally and physically, and to do what's best for you and how you feel about all that you see when you sit with who you be. This happy Chakra, love and peace.